Hey, so I'm gonna continue doing the enneagram thing. I am already ready. We're gonna leave. My mom is going to take this elderly woman that we know of to church. Today Sunday, and then while they're there, my dad and I were gonna go for maybe a walk. We're just gonna go somewhere. There's like a mall across the street from the church. Maybe we're gonna go there, although like not much is going to be open, just the food court for the most part. I mean, some people they do decide to open earlier, so we're gonna possibly go there and have a fun time together, regardless of what we're doing. We're also going to get lunch, so that when we pick up my mom and her elderly friend, and we drop her off at her place, and we come home, we already have food. Possibly my dad and I were gonna eat there for them. We are torn between KFC and Subway because they both have some promos where you get two for, well, not the price of one, but like you get two for very comparatively cheaper than what a single sandwich would be. So it's going to be one of the two probably. But we did have KFC yesterday. We ended up using this a little coupon, and we had some discount, even more so than we would have otherwise. So today might be Subway, because the thing with Subway sandwiches compared to like other sandwiches and hamburgers is that they are bigger. There is more for what you're paying. There's that. But yeah, I decided to get ready today. It's been a few days that I've been either too tired or too like low energy, or it's been too hot for me to like make any efforts regarding like what I look like. Oh yeah, here's the ring. Like the orange is very much close to my hair. The pink is a little different, but still, I gotta be using two rings now. But yeah, back to the enneagram. We come to the degree of consensus, but doesn't mean that just means that we choose to think the same. Like, oh, here we go. We may come to some degree of consensus, but that doesn't necessarily mean that our consensus reflects anything completely objective. It just means that we chose to think the same way. Guys are the skeptics and debunkers of certitude. Am I a skeptic and debunker of certitude? I've been called like a devil's advocate a lot of the time. I don't do that so much anymore, but when I was younger, I always liked to, regardless, with who I was talking, which sides of the political spectrum they found themselves, I'd like to, just instigate, just, bring a little, like, okay, but what about, this, when it comes to you thinking this? So I guess it fits the bill. They love to debate and deflate ironclad philosophies and self-righteously held positions wherever they find them. Literally what I just said. But yeah, there is a certain level of annoyance that I get from the way that certain things are presented. Sometimes someone's going to have the exact same politics as me, but the way that they present the things that we believe in is just very obnoxious, and it's not very helpful in terms of, because what you want is for more people to think the way you do. So sometimes you're acting all high and mighty, like that doesn't, not sometimes, like that doesn't really help with anything. If anything, it's kind of it makes things worse. Thus, less healthy ones can drift into various forms of fundamentalism, believing that they hold the key to truth, while fives can become provocative nihilists, believing that there's no truth. Oh Lord, yeah, I really related to this one right now. Like they're believing there's no truth and just provocative. And it's interesting because I still do that sometimes, but it's mostly when I'm not doing well. So it's when I'm in my level of disintegration, as they call it here. I kind of like I do that. And it's more like a meeting. I'm not doing it for, to help anybody find the truth or whatever. Just, yeah, I guess like, I don't believe anything, kind of like want nobody else to believe anything either. In a relationship, both types find it very difficult to change their basic philosophies of life, and they both find it difficult to respect anyone who believes the opposite of them. I will say that I do. Yeah, this is something that like it does occur to me like once in a while, how I cannot really have a relationship, like a proper one, something that goes beyond pep talk, small talk, and greetings, just like best wishes with some certain individuals. And I've come to accept that, like, yeah, I don't have to, like I don't have, like, because the reason why I was doing it wasn't so much because I wanted to prove anything to someone else, was because I wanted to prove to myself that like I kind of didn't care and I could stay completely objective. But like sometimes interacting with certain people, like it's really bad for your mental health. So I come, to decide. It's been a few years now that like I'm gonna keep certain people kind of away from me. I mean, some people you can't avoid. You can't avoid. So like you do your best to minimize. You know, to shorten the interactions you have. But anyways, yes, both can respect the other's boundaries to a fault, not wanting to impose their own beliefs on the other. Um, yes. So like I mean, I don't want to impose my beliefs on anyone. I just want them to see that what I am saying it makes more sense and it's better in the long run, because like there are a lot of like different people out there, so something that is going to be good for a person is going to be bad for a different person. So any belief in the system that out there, like somebody is going to be damaged by it, and then it just it's a matter of like who are we damaging, who are we allowing this to happen. And I have very clear answers to that. And some people, they would disagree sometimes because of they think that one day that is going to be them, so they want to protect those people, which is fucking stupid, but like to each their own. But yeah, the relationship can thus become cold and distant, impersonal, and analytic, tinged with resignation and cynicism. One can feel that ties are too impractical and easily concerned with relevances. Ties can feel that ones are too serious and rigid, and that they take their opinions far too seriously. Oh yeah, I mean, this is also something that kind of like gets to me. Like of course I take things seriously, some things at some moments in life. But I just think some people just take themselves way too seriously, and that is not healthy. I think that having a certain likeness to your approach to yourself and to the things you think and you believe in is kind of healthy, and it is important. It allows you to have a broader view of things, and to start kind of like taking arguments and possibilities that are not what what you initially see. But anyways, both can become too self-contained, involving in their lives in separate spheres, perhaps only to getting together for occasional meals, to sleep, or to solve pressing problems. Coldness and isolation take over. It may last for years without either of them realizing it very clearly, much less feeling that either of them can do very much about it. I would say that I do think that if somebody establishes like a certain boundary, as they're saying, with me, like I usually don't cross it. Like the only time that I would cross it is if the person is in risk of harming themselves. So in that case, I think it's okay for you to intervene. But usually it does lead to a certain level of coldness. I'm guessing. As I said, I don't have like that many relationships. I never really had. There's not that many people in my life. I've been at several points surrounded by a lot of people, but I haven't really connected with them. And as a consequence, I don't really know if that is exactly what would happen, but it does make sense. This thing about just sometimes like just accepting the boundaries. Well, I do it not even sometimes for the sake of the other person, but just for me, because I have these boundaries. So if they are mutual, it is easier for me to handle myself. But yeah, so we got to the end of accountability with type 1 and type 5. Now I'm gonna go to accountability with type 2. Type 2 is the helper, and 5 is the investigator. So what each type brings to the relationship. Enneagram types are the opposites, as it were. A purple person versus a loner. A feeling type with a thinking type. Choosing types comes from different points of view on what is important in life and in a relationship. And yet, because they're so different, there can also be an intense attraction to the mystery of the other. This is something, attraction is a funny thing to try and understand, because there are different types of attraction. Sometimes you attract to somebody, romantically, which is what I'm assuming here. Sometimes it can be, not sexual, but like not romantic. Sometimes it can be just, like attraction for like a partnership. You just really sense that that person, you can, do business together, and that it will be profitable for everybody involved. and I find that I want different things from like different people. Uh, and I mean, this is very normal. It's not like a me thing. It's just that we all want different. I mean, I think it's very, like the romantic versus physical attraction thing. It's very clear because people, they would like to have sex with someone, but then they would like to be in a relationship with somebody else with a different personality. And I don't think that is contradictory. As I've heard some people claim that it's like, no, you want different things, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, as long as everybody, I think communication is key. You have to communicate with people what is going on in your mind, so that you're not no one's being fooled by whatever is happening. But yeah, but as long as everybody is there, happy, consenting, and kind of like okay with it, I don't think it really matters. Yeah, it just starts to matter if I guess you start taking advantage of people. But yeah, and yet because they're so the twos and fives are a more common pairing than might be expected. Twos can see fives as challenges, distant, mentally preoccupied, not giving many outward signals, and difficult to charm easily because they're so private. I don't like this, because I actually have had this experience in my life with people who saw me as a challenge, and then they kind of like and I don't like that approach. I mean, of course, like as I said, as long as everybody's getting what they want, that's cool. But sometimes, like this challenge, people end up, they end up, kind of like trespassing your boundaries, because as I said, it hasn't really been uncommon for me to be kind of like, okay, I am okay with something, this goal, but not necessarily like romantic. And then some people, they kind of like cross that barrier, and I don't like that. I don't appreciate it. It makes me push people away. It is hard to know what pleases fives, which makes Jews only try harder. Jews bring to their relationship a willingness to take the initiative and to pursue the five, to be the first one to call or to ask for a date, no matter which gender they are. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like this is something I already talked about. Like I will only ever like make a move if I sense that there is an actual possibility there. If I don't think that there is, I usually will not pursue anything. But what happens is that sometimes there was a shot, but like I thought that there wasn't. So it's good if you have people who are also willing to break, to kind of like with the bridge between you two. When healthy chews bring warmth, physical comfort, and ease, something fives typically lack, a desire to improve fives' living conditions, style of dress and eating habits, and many other marks of thoughtfulness and signs of affection and genuine interest. Yeah, healthy. I mean, I don't know, but like, I feel like, I I do take care of myself, like in terms of like my appearance, right? That's not something I have an issue with, although it used to be kind of like something way back in the day. But I would say that like my living quarters is usually very much like any element of decoration usually came, for example, from my parents, and that just doesn't come from me. So it feels convenient to have someone doing like this for you. But there's also something that can become kind of like unhealthy, right? If you just letting the person do it and you're not really making any effort. I mean, fives are usually not aware of this, though they may not outwardly react to expressions or affections of Jews. Fives are simply pleased that anyone cares and is being attentive to them. I mean, I guess we all care. We all like being paid attention to. Although I would say there's such a thing as an excess. If it is too much, I can kind of like I can find it like off-putting if it is like too intense. It feels a little claustrophobic. For their part, fives are usually very loyal. They find relationships complex and difficult, so they tend to value one that begins to work, and they tend to put energy into it. I mean, if I did find something that worked for me, because as I mentioned, like I have had the opportunity of like interacting with many people in my life, but very few, like only like a couple of them. I would say like it ended up developing something, deeper than just a surface level, recurrent interaction, but yeah, but if I did find, something that was appealing to me, I feel like I would actually put energy into it. For the longest time, I thought that it was just like not something I would do, you know, like this whole thing of like putting energy in relationships, because I didn't want to do that, you know. So I kind of like just didn't. But you know, recent years I've been realizing that, you know, the issue is not so much like relationship, is like who it is you're interacting with, and that it can be possible, it can be doable and manageable, and doesn't have to be a pain in the ass. Anyways, fives bring stability and quiet, dispassionate, good judgment and objectivity, particularly in crisis. I will say I do deal really well with things very well in a crisis. I think that, you know, like the pressure, you know, it kind of like it helps my brain kind of like drive. Actually, it also leads to a lot of anxiety, but I can kind of like suppress it for the duration of the crisis, you know, and then yeah, anyway, it's something I'm proud of, you know, that I can do things, particularly because, you know, like my head has led to like, you know, so many crises. So it's good to be able to, you know, walk through it in a way that doesn't have, you know, permanent consequences, doesn't scar you permanently. When guys focus, they're good listeners and give undivided attention. I'm gonna take a word for it here because I don't know, I can be a good listener. Honestly, I actually sometimes prefer to be a good listener than like a good speaker. Like somebody has issues, like I will listen to them. I don't really think about giving advice. You know, like I don't always know what to do, and I don't think that I am like qualified necessarily to, you know, give that advice. Uh, the, they are not as attached to outcomes, and so can often make decisions more wisely and be good advisors to more emotionally volatile choose. I will say that this is something that I would say that is me today, not me 8 years ago. I was actually going through Google Photos this morning, and I saw, you know, some, because they give you like, you know, you a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and there was one that was like me 9 years ago, and I was 18, and man, it's just so much has happened, and yet like not that much at all, because I'm still young. I feel old, and like I'm kind of like done and dated, you know, a lot of the time. But sometimes, you know, it does occur to me that like, oh yeah, I'm still young. There's still like more water to pass under this bridge, you know, before the bridge closes. Okay. What I have choose. Guys are often more calm than shoes, and this gives them both types of feeling of steadiness and of hope. In short, five stabilizes choose emotionality, while choose warm or five coolness. Choose enjoy seeing that their attention and affections have had positive visible effects. Okay, low and battery effects on five. Fives are secretly like being doted over and finally finding the nurturing they have unconsciously been seeking but may have always given up on. I will say that this last sentence is something that I will admit to today, but I wouldn't like 9 years ago, even like 2 years ago, I wouldn't admit to it. But I kind of like realized that yes, I like being doted over, and that is a new development for me. I never, you know, I was always very much like I don't need that shit, you know. And then recently, I think it has come from like my more recent interaction with my parents. You know, they've been kind of like doting over me, and I have really enjoyed it. And you know, I don't want it to be doesn't have to be overwhelming, because I feel like, you know, for my parents, it is like kind of like an endless thing. Like they could dote over me like for as long and like as, you know, intensely as they want, and I would always love it. When it comes to other people, though, I do think that there would be a bit of a limit. I don't know. You know, I don't actually have any concrete examples, you know, to give. Just propositions and possibilities. But yeah, but I'm gonna wrap this up right now because yeah, I have to charge my laptop. But yes, this is it for me. I don't know, like I feel like that by comparing myself to other, you know, types, I do learn a thing or two about myself, and sometimes it can be very obvious. For example, like the last doing thing, like that I had never, only like recently I've started to kind of like acknowledge. Yeah, it just opens my eyes to like what I want more specifically, because sometimes I will fantasize about things, right? And you know, like what I want is there, but sometimes it's buried under a lot of layers. And layers. And you know, that way it's kind of hard to find, not only to find out what I want, but like to then be able to put it into action, you know. But yeah, that's it. Bye.